wish that you were better.
Paulson and I we were chatting last night, and then we just kept talking and talking and talking.
Yeah.
We're like, we
spent
should probably
a couple
go.
hours last night as well.
Yeah, just game planning for you guys. So
yeah.
What's up, Jason? Jason won my MacBook Air. What's up, Jason? Yeah, we did a giveaway in my group, and he won the MacBook Air. Nice. And it was so funny because the comments weren't showing up. I don't know why. So everyone was like, no, Jason's here. Jason's here. I was like, I don't see him.
Hey, Joel, I'm going to make you a co-host, or that way in case my internet was crazy yesterday and it still is crazy today. So I'm going to make you hold on. I'm going to make you a co-host in case if I get kicked out, I'll jump back in. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. If you're not excited about this, guys, if anybody in here is not excited about it, I'm gonna please kindly ask you to just jump off the room, because I am ecstatic. I really feel like there's thousands of dollars worth of insights that you're gonna get that's gonna really change the way you do business for the next couple of years. I don't know if everybody knows Joel or not. It's somebody that I truly trust. I've been through his program. I know the content. And if you take action, it will change your whole entire business model and your game. So I don't want to take any more time. Joel, it's all yours, buddy.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. I'm already recording. If you're excited, give us a 1 in the chat and tell us how you're feeling. If you're having a great day or not. Today's moment right now, we're going to go into some growth strategies and kind of really, really help you understand what this whole game of agency is all about. And let's get started, guys. If we can get as many 1s as we possibly can.
I love the engagement. So
I know.
I think we broke 1,000 comments on my last live. It's crazy. But awesome. Guys, who does it? Drop a 2 if you don't know me. If you don't know me, drop a 2. If you, okay, there's a few 2s. Cool. So I don't have time for an introduction today. So I'm going to make it super, super, super quick. And what you can also do is check out the last live that Paulson and I did, where we did a whole introduction. We explained why we're doing this. But jumping right to it, like Paulson, if you had to give a 60-second introduction about me, and then we'll jump right in, what would you say?
In less than a short amount of time,
60 seconds.
In a short amount of time, I know Joel and his partner Marcos scaled at least 3 agencies to 300K monthly revenue.
Scaled one, and we scaled other ones to other revenue marks. We gotcha. Scaled one to 50K in 60 days. We have some other pretty big numbers, but the main one does over 300K a month. The main one.
Right. So to me, it's somebody that we've got to listen to when it comes to sales and prospecting and systems and things like that. And that's why I'm excited to bring Joel in. But yeah, Joel, go right ahead, buddy.
Awesome. Well, for those of you guys that don't know me, I scaled an agency in the past 3 years to over 200 clients. And after scaling so quickly and so efficiently, I started getting asked by so many people to coach them on scaling their agencies. And over the past, I'd say 2 years now, we launched a program which has created a ton of 7-figure agencies. It's created an even bigger number of 6-figure agencies. And Paulson reached out to me about a month ago and was like, Joel, what if we could take everything that you normally teach and do a workshop, a 10-day workshop, sharing how you would scale an agency to 10K, $10,000 as quickly as possible using HighLevel. And over the next 10 days, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. And here we go. So guys, we're officially live for the How to Scale an Agency to 10K 10-day workshop. And my goal over the next 10 days is to give you the roadmap to building an agency to $10,000. Now, if you're excited, if you're ready to go, drop a 1 below and let's dive in. Now, before I actually get into the content, I do want to draw a really important warning. And It's going to sound a little dull and it's going to sound a little harsh, but I think it's really, really important, especially because there's a lot of people in this game that promise big results. They promise a big game and they can't back it up. And one of the reasons why is because they set false expectations and they lead you to believe that it's going to be easier than it actually is. So I do want to give you guys a warning, and I do this because it is my moral duty to give you guys what you want to hear, what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And again, in this space, there's so many other coaches that tell you what you want to hear because it's so much easier to get you to take out your credit card. But if you really care about your own results, and if I really care about your own results, I have to share with you what you actually need to hear to get to 10K with your agency. So with that in mind, it does take a lot of time. So for example, I ran my first ever Google ad campaign for my family's wedding venue 10 years ago. So even if I started my marketing agency 3 years ago, at that point, I already had 7 years of experience running advertisements for a local business. And it's easy to see the success that I've had in 3 years and ignore the fact that I've been at this game for over 10 years. What you guys also don't see is that this is my third business. My agency was the third business I had ever launched. And you don't see all the time that I had invested into other businesses prior. So you have to keep in mind, when you see people claim these crazy results, you have to always see the other side. Because often it's never just the result. There's always a lot of time, dedication, and sacrifice that went into it to be able to accomplish those sorts of numbers so quickly. It also takes a lot of hard work. For example, I had someone reach out to me today, and I'm not going to share the conversation, but they were like, do I have to work if I sign up for your program? And I said, what? What do you mean? Of course you have to work. If I could wire transfer you guys 10K, trust me, I would, but that doesn't exist. And anyone that tells you otherwise doesn't actually care about you and doesn't care about getting you the best results humanly possible. So it does take a lot of hard work. And by the way, Paulson, I don't know if you hear this, but every time someone joins, I get a little ding.
Yeah, that's because we're both hosts, but nobody else can hear that.
Okay, it's like super hard to concentrate.
Ding, I know. Ding. I've got literally people tripping in every 5 seconds. I've had at least 20 people join in the last 2 minutes, and I'm like, oh man.
Guys, the past 5 minutes, I've just been hearing ding, ding every time.
Yeah, I think it's my Zoom setting, and I don't know how to turn it off, but just bear with me. I think after a while, we'll kind of coast into the content. But cool. Yeah, people are going to be jumping in, just so you know. And as soon as you jump in, guys, just go ahead and mute yourself, put your comments and all those things in the chat. We're going to go through it as much as we can at the end of the conversations, okay? And remember, we're not going to go through the entire content in day one. Remember that. I know y'all are eager, but there's going to be a pace to this. There's a lot of work here. Go ahead.
Yep. So guys, it takes a lot of hard work. I used to work at a 9 to 5, and I would go home after working from 9 to 5, and I would work from 6 to midnight, week after week after week after week. And I really believe in this idea when you're just starting out in 9 to 9 days, like that's just what it takes to make it happen. And obviously I believe in balance. I believe in taking care of yourself. I believe in maintaining good mental, physical, and spiritual health along the journey. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It requires a lot of hard work. And a lot of the people that you see succeeding, it did not happen overnight. They put their blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. Also, everyone starts off at a different point. You have to keep in mind, if you've been in sales for the past 10 years, even though you've never ran a marketing agency, if you start a marketing agency, it's going to be so much easier for you to get to 10K compared to someone that's never been in a client-facing role ever in their entire life. So when we talk about scaling to 10K, you have to also be self-aware of where you're at in the journey. And you also can't judge yourself based on where you're at in the journey. You have to respect and honor and humble yourself to your position and who you are and where you're at. For example, by the time I started my agency, like I said, I had already been running Google Ads for 7 years. I had already started 2 other businesses, and I had been in a client-facing role since my first business at the age of 18, where I DJ'd for I DJ'd weddings. That's what I did. That was my first ever business, just because my parents own a wedding venue. It made perfect sense. And the point is, I had been managing clients, managing expectations, doing sales for years, even though I only started my agency 3 years ago. So you have to be really aware of where you're at in the journey and know that even if you don't hit 10K as fast as someone else, doesn't mean that you can't do it. It doesn't mean that it's so much harder for you. You might just be at a different level in your life, and you might just be at a different time. So it's just really important to be aware of that. I will also say this, not everyone is going to make it at a certain point in time. Like I said, it might take longer for you. It might be faster for you. And the last thing I'll say is that if you're starting out from absolute scratch, going from 0 to 1 is the absolute hardest. Going from 1K to 10K is so much easier than going from 0 to 1K. Going from 10K to 100K is so much easier than going from 0 to 1, because to go from 0 to 1 requires so much leveling up in terms of your character and in terms of your skills that you don't have to do once you're past that initial road bump. So the reason I'm starting off with this, guys, is because these are the things that no one else tells you in this space. And they tell you it's going to be easy, and they tell you, oh, these are my 3 simple steps to 10K. But you know what, guys? That's BS. And they're setting you up to fail, because the moment you don't get quick results, you're going to start questioning yourself. You're going to start questioning your abilities, and you're going to want to give up. And it's really important to see the bigger picture so that you stay committed to the journey long enough to actually see results. So with that in mind, I will say it is absolutely so worth it, no matter where you're at. It is absolutely so worth it to commit and to go all in, because it is a dedication to leveling up who you are, and it is a dedication to leveling up your life and being able to impact everyone around you on this journey. So I know that's kind of dark and probably not the best message that you guys want to hear, but it's really important. And I did want to just start off before we go into any content with that really important warning. Now, if you're ready for more fun stuff and you're ready to dive into the actual content, drop a 1 below, show some love, and let's keep going. So over the next 10 days, this is what we're going to cover. Today, we're going to talk about the mindset required to go from 0 to 10K. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to pick the perfect niche. Day 3, we're going to talk about offer creation. Day 4, we're going to talk about building your prospecting lists. Day 5, we're going to talk about organic prospecting. Day 6, we're going to talk about paid ads prospecting. Day 7, we're going to talk about intro call. Day 8, demo call. Day 9, client results. And then day 10, going beyond 10K. Now, when I first met up with Paulson to go over this 10-day workshop, he was like, Joel, I want you to give everyone in the high level community specific tactics, strategies. I don't want any fluff. And I promise you guys, I'm going to give you guys the scripts. I'm going to give you guys the ads. I'm going to give you guys the plug and play strategies and tactics, to the point that all you're going to have to do is commit to sending the messages out to start getting booked appointments for your agency. With that in mind, we can't give you guys those things unless we tackle mindset for at least 1 day. And I was like, Paulson, can we please just do 1 mindset day before we dive into the actual tactics, actual strategies? So for day 1, we're going to talk about how to become a 10K human being so that you can actually scale an agency to 10K. And with that in mind,
A quick question.
Go for it.
Just so you know, like when I used to get courses, you know what I would do? I knew the first portions are typically mindset oriented, and I would skip it and go to the meat of the course. And 3 months later, 4 months later, I would have to go back and review those mindset modules in whichever courses, and it will bite me later, right? Joel, can you talk about what that means? Like, is it a good idea to skip over these steps? Where do you see the best students coming out of this when they don't skip the mindset?
I tell people all the time, the hardest part of my job as a coach is not giving you guys the scripts. It's not giving you guys the perfect ad. It's not giving you guys the perfect strategy. Those are all a given. Like, you're going to get those. The hardest part of my job is convincing you guys to actually believe in yourselves and to take action. That is the absolute hardest part of my job. I'll give you another example. Paulson and I were talking the other day, and he was like, Joel, your ad strategy to get clients is not that crazy. And I said, you know what? The hardest part about paid ads and teaching you guys paid ads to start getting your own clients is convincing you guys to just run paid ads to get the clients. It's not the ad itself. It's not the lead form walkthrough. It's not the script. It's none of that. The hardest part is actually getting you to believe in yourself to the point where you're willing to invest money that you can lose to be able to turn that money into more money. And go through that cycle of emotional ups and downs at the very beginning when it's not working. Because the very beginning, it's going to require some tweaking before it actually starts to work. So I truly believe that the biggest two things holding most people back from 10K is who they are, their character, and their skills, their ability to communicate, their ability to set up a Facebook ad, all that good stuff. Now, the skills we're going to teach you. What's really hard then becomes you leveling up your character, who you are. And if you don't first start with that, then all of the other stuff is irrelevant. And what I'd like to do today is show you who you need to become as an entrepreneur to be able to then go out and apply your skills and get to 10K. And this is something that I teach my clients all the time. You have to become a 7-figure human being before you can become a 7-figure entrepreneur. And today I want to talk about one step backwards. I want to talk about what it takes to become a 10K human being so that you can go out and become a 10K entrepreneur. So here we go. First things first, a 10K human being takes the first step. A lot of you guys are getting more information and more information and more information. You're learning, you're thinking, you're doing all these things. You're doing everything except taking the first step. So for example, you guys are watching courses on how to set appointments to get more clients, but then you never send a message to a prospect saying, hey, would you be interested in working together? Or a lot of you guys are out there learning how to get results for clients, but you don't even have a client to begin with. And the analogy that I like to give is you guys are all trying to get good at basketball by watching YouTube videos and never going out in the court and shooting the freaking basketball. And this is totally normal, by the way. I was like this. A lot of people starting out are like this. And I really, really want to drive that point home. It's normal for us to do this because all we're doing is protecting ourselves from going out into the world and facing the fear of failure. You know, Robert Kiyosaki talks about this all the time. What's the number one reason people will not go out and be successful is because they're paralyzed by the fear of failure. They're afraid to go out and shoot the basketball and miss. But the reality is if you never take the first step out into the court and shoot the basketball and then keep shooting, you're never going to get good at basketball no matter how many YouTube videos you watch, how many courses you take, no matter if you hire the best coach in the world for basketball. You guys could hire Phil Jackson, who's one of the greatest coaches of all time. He won 11 NBA championships to help you with your shot. But if you never go out into the court and shoot the ball, there's nothing he could ever tell you to get you better at basketball. So the first point, guys, to become a 10K human being, you have to be willing to take the first step, to set up your ads and potentially fail, to send 10 messages to prospects and potentially fail, to get on the phone and call a few prospects and potentially fail. You have to be willing to take the first step and get out of paralysis by analysis. You also have to be reactive instead of proactive. And this is a really hard lesson to learn because the entire world teaches us to be proactive instead of reactive. The entire world is teaching us to think before we act. It makes sense too, right? It's like logically, you're like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I think before I act? But in entrepreneurship, especially when you're starting out, this is advice specifically for people going to 10K with their agency. You have to act, think, and then act again. I don't know who here has read the book Ready, Fire, Aim, or at least heard about it. Drop a 1 if you have. All of you guys are aiming and then you never fire. But you have to fire, then look up, and then aim again. Or for example, in basketball, you have to shoot the ball, feel it in your hands, feel it how it released, and then think, okay, well, what could I have done better next time? I shot it way too much to the right. Let me move it to the left a little bit. Or, wow, I just threw the ball at the backboard. That was awful. Let me just go a little easier.
Joel, can I make a confession real quick on this?
Please.
When I first started,
I can't stop you, you know.
No, but feel free to stop me because I don't want to take you away from your flow. But I remember when I first started off, I found myself working at home. Nobody else was home. My wife was at work. You know, nobody else was around. And I'm like, oh, I've got to be self-disciplined to take these shots. And I would get hyped. I'll have my morning routine. I'll work out. Then I'll do my affirmations. And I'm like, okay, breakfast. Oh, crap. It's already 12 o'clock. I don't even know what happened. Right. And then I'm on this catch-up mode rest of the afternoon. And I send out like 10, maybe 15 messages. As soon as like the first no comes back, I'm done with that strategy. That's literally what I did the first 2 years.
Guys, for example, when I first started out, we scaled the 65K a month just with referrals and cold email. Then I started doing paid ads and we ended up scaling to over $300,000 a month. But the very beginning, cold email didn't work. It didn't work until it worked. Because I kept taking action, then thinking and reevaluating and tweaking, then taking action, then thinking, then reevaluating, then taking more action. The problem, guys, is a lot of you are proactive. You're thinking about steps 8, 9, and 10 before taking step number 1. And at the very beginning, it's counterintuitive, but you have to be much more reactive. Does everyone know the difference between reactive and proactive? Reactive is when something happens and you're like, oh crap, what do I have to do? Proactive is when you're like, let me think about this. Okay, what should I do? The very beginning, you should try to actually push yourself to be in a reactive state as much as possible, where you're taking action. You're like, oh my God, what just happened? Let's fix it. Or let's do more of that. And it's extremely counterintuitive, but you have to lean into that. All right, let's keep going. There's a lot here, so I want to get through this. Next up, to become a 10K human being. The biggest problem with our brain at the very beginning is that we are afraid of failure and rejection. We fear it. So then what our brain gets us to do to stay in a comfortable spot is take action on things that do not matter. Like building your website, like getting business cards, all these things, like setting up your LinkedIn profile to look perfect.
Dude, I redid my business cards 5 times.
Hey, I spent a week on a website, guys, and then I spent days on a freaking sticker to put in front of my laptop. It was ridiculous. Days on a freaking sticker. And I was like, oh, we're going to go to coffee shops and people are going to ask me about the sticker. That never happened. And the reason why we focus on tasks that don't have any real consequence is because they are safe. If you fail at building your website, nothing happens to you. If you fail at designing a beautiful business card, nothing happens to you. You don't have to face rejection and you don't have to face failure. And what happens is your brain is giving you a sense of momentum. Like, oh, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm staying busy, but it's not actually getting you anywhere near 10K with your agency. So you have to become a human being that is aware that your brain is trying to keep you comfortable and trying to protect you. And the way that it does that is by focusing on tasks that give you a false sense of progress and focusing on tasks that give you a false sense of momentum that actually don't matter. And what you then need to do is stop doing all of those things and only focus on tasks that push you towards failure and push you towards rejection, because those are the only tasks that will actually get you to 10K. The way that I've helped my clients do this is by following this phrase, set and close appointments. That's the only thing that matters. Setting and closing appointments. If you're not focused 80% or more of your time at the beginning on setting and closing appointments, you are doing it wrong. That is wrong. For example, I built our consulting company to multi-seven figures. We still don't have a website. It does not matter. Even though you think it does not. It's just your brain protecting you. Just like when we go and do something scary and your brain makes you feel like, for example, if you go on an airplane for the first time, airplanes are safer than cars. So logically, you're in an extremely safe environment and it's an extremely safe mode of transportation, but your brain makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm up in the sky, this thing might fall. You don't listen to your brain, you ignore it. You're like, this is safe. However, in business, for some reason, you guys are always listening to your brain, but your brain is giving you the wrong cues and it's giving you the wrong information. So we have to really ignore our brains, turn it off, dial it back, and focus on setting and closing appointments. To help you do that, I'm showing you the picture of my whiteboard in our kitchen when we first started our agency and we were working out of our kitchen. We had this up all the time. Is it getting us closer to a sale? If yes, continue. If not, stop and ask yourself what will. I pulled this from my phone. This is a picture I took almost 3 years ago now. It was our whiteboard in our kitchen, and this is what we would do all day.
That's a lot of markers, bro.
Don't judge. Remember what I said at the beginning? Everyone's at a different stage in their journey. Got a lot of markers, you know? All right, let's keep going. You have to kill all. And actually, before we do, is that making sense, guys? Is this valuable? If it is, drop a 1 below. If it's not,
I can see at least 5, 6 people in here that have gotten on a call with me regarding marketplace or something else. And I've had this conversation with you at least 2, 3 months ago, right? At least 4 or 5 of you that I can see right now that we've had this conversation, right? So for Joel to come in and say the same thing again, and he's been the same path that I have been and others have been, there is something to it, guys. This whole mindset thing has that's 80% of the battle. It's not the tactics. The tactics are going to change from Q1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It is.
Exactly. But if I give you guys a script on Thursday or Friday, which I will, to go out and set appointments, but none of you guys actually take it and then send it to hundreds of prospects, it's not going to work. The script works, you don't. So first we got to fix you. Maybe fix is a wrong word. Maybe level you up, right? And I think that's a better wording for it. First, we got to make sure that you level up to be able to actually take those strategies and execute on them. Cool. All right, let's keep going. And this is not in any particular order, by the way. This is just all the things that I believe you need to think about to become a 10K human being. You have to absolutely kill all shiny objects. Most people starting off, what they do is they build backup plans in their mind. Plan B, plan C, plan D. When I first started out, I was going to launch an info product. I was going after multiple niches. So if this one didn't work, I had this one. I was looking for part-time work just to have all my eggs in multiple baskets and feel safe. But you have to keep in mind that at the very beginning, to move the needle and actually go from 0 to 1 requires more effort, more commitment, more focus, more intensity than pretty much anything else in this journey of entrepreneurship. So you absolutely must kill all shiny objects and go all in. And if you really care about security, and if you really care about playing it safe and having a backup plan, then you need to make plan A your backup plan. Plan A is the only plan. Going all in is how you get security. Going all in is how you achieve certainty in your business. But again, as when we start out, our brain is messing with us and it's trying to protect us. So what do? We start an e-com brand. We launch a quick little side info product. We're working on our affiliate program to help promote HighLevel a little bit and getting a few deals that way. We're also getting clients for our marketing agency. And now we have split focus and we feel safe because if this doesn't work, we've got this. But we then don't have enough energy to go all in on one thing and actually move the needle and get it off the ground. So my recommendation to all my clients always is to build a 6-month contract with yourself. And the 6-month contract should state that you're going to stick to one business and one niche for at least 6 months before moving on to the next thing. And really, it should be more like 12 months. But most of you guys won't be able to commit to that. So
yeah, I can already see the brains like thinking, oh, what's going to be a good niche? What if I screw up picking the wrong niche? I can already see it just watching you guys. Those questions coming up. It's a mental thing. It's protection that's running.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't until I fully went all in that my business took off. Like we made all these mistakes. Everything I'm sharing is from my own personal experience. At one point, I almost gave up on my agency to the point where I was applying for jobs again. And it was hard for me as well. And a lot of these lessons I learned from my own lack of success at the beginning. For example, when I started out, we were working with roofers, chiropractors, dentists, artists, e-com brands. Like I had a client that sold a rock climbing product. It was totally unrelated from everything else. And what ended up happening is that my brain was having to build multiple businesses at the same time. And that's impossible. You'll never be able to do it. So this is one of the biggest mistakes I see. And everyone is trying to find a workaround, and there is no workaround. The workaround is just to go all in. Because then you're going to build enough momentum to get past the struggle at the beginning. Now, what I wanted to say is, the very beginning in your journey, there's always going to be a lack of success. It's not like you're going to start day one and now you're 10K. That doesn't happen. And if it does, and you get to 10K quickly, it's going to be short-lived. You're probably going to come back down. For most people, maybe there's an outlier here and there, but for most people at the very beginning, there's going to be a lack of success. And you need to build enough momentum to be able to get out of that hole. And you also need to build enough momentum to get out of that hole without getting distracted by something new, which puts you right back into the hole. Most of you guys are not building enough momentum to get out of the hole and really start moving forward in a good direction. The only way to do that is by killing all shiny objects. All right, next up, to become a 10K human being, you also have to trust the popcorn effect. Like I just mentioned at the very beginning, there's a lack of success at the very beginning, and we want an immediate response to our action. So most of us want to take an action and see the direct response to it, see if it worked or didn't. But we have to keep in mind in business, there's a delayed effect on the results of our actions. So a lot of us, I call it the popcorn effect, because how many of you guys have made popcorn in the past? Like in your microwave? Give me a show of hands if you have. Cool. If you haven't, I guess that's kind of weird, because I don't know. I feel like most of you guys have been on the planet for long enough to make popcorn. But when you put the bag of popcorn in the microwave, it's flat, right? When you put it in and you press start, does it automatically explode? It takes time. And it's actually like 30, if you actually go do it today, it's about 20 to 30 seconds before you hear the first pop. And then you hear pop, pop, pop. And then a minute and a half in, the bag is exploding. What happens is most of you guys start taking action through the first 20 seconds and you don't hear a pop, and then you stop because you think that it didn't work. So you have to trust in the popcorn effect, and you have to trust that the bag is going to start popping and it's just around the corner. Because all of you guys are like trying to fix the microwave. You're like, it's not working, and it's only been 10 seconds. So to become a 10K human being, you have to be patient in being able to see the results of your actions. Like I said at the very beginning, at the very beginning, there's a lack of success. So you're going to start wanting to change everything or give up or switch niches. But in reality, you have to just hang tight and commit long enough to start seeing the results. Here's what I wrote down here. Everyone thinks that it's 0 and then 1. It's actually 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, then 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. That's how results happen. It's just like a bag of popcorn. Any questions about that? I'll take a quick little Q&A break, or I don't know if that's going to be too much of a curveball, but
not at all. You know what that whole popcorn thing is, for those of you that have business development minds, what that talks about is the sales cycle. Average sales cycle for an agency, like we've done some numbers, it takes us like quite often somewhere between 25 to 45 days to actually close a deal from initial touch, right? So your sales cycles are already long enough for retainers. So that's what this popcorn effect really matters, because you have to have enough sales cycles launched properly for you to get those results in a delayed fashion. And that's completely normal, just so you guys know.
Yeah, especially when you're still having to build your character and your skills, it's going to take even longer for the popcorn to start popping. So that's when you guys start to blame your niche or the script or the strategies, but it's really just a matter of time. Let's see.
Is this helpful, guys? You guys, it's like too quiet.
I know.
I'm not used to everybody just keening in, listening.
Yeah. If you guys are finding this helpful, drop a 1 below. If you're not, drop a 2. Let me know as well.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool.
I know it's mindset. I know it's not sexy. Everyone wants the scripts. We're going to get to the scripts. But again, you guys are going to send one message and be like, Joel, it didn't work. And I'm going to be like, remember the popcorn effect? Maybe you got to send 100 messages and then watch the popcorn start to pop. So, all right, let's see. Demetrios just joined. He said, "What did I miss?" Unfortunately, we gave away an entire MacBook Air, and you had one, but you weren't here to claim it, so you missed that. By the way, side little story: I did that in my group, and then Jason ended up winning. But the person that you had to be there live to win, and they weren't there, and it just caused so much drama. It was kind of crazy. But anyways, here we go. To become a 10K human being, you also have to forget your emotions. And I know this is a harsh message. I'm not telling you not to be compassionate. You absolutely need to lead with your heart. That's one of my core values. You need to do the right thing. You have to do whatever it takes to win, as long as you do it with integrity. You have to be a good human being. I'm not saying don't be compassionate. I'm absolutely not saying don't care about people. What I mean by forget your emotions is don't let them dictate your actions. And I don't know if you guys have ever invested money in the stock market, or at least read a book by Warren Buffett or his strategies or anything like that. And they say the best stock traders in the world are not emotional. That way, if there's a dip, they hang tight, they trust in the process. They don't let the dips dictate their actions. So even if the stock market is down, it doesn't mean that they're going to pull out. They hang in. And if we actually look at the S&P 500, which is the average of the top 500 companies, let me see. Perfect. Check this out. We're down today. We're down in the stock market. But if we actually look at the results over time, there's an upward trend. So if we were to judge the S&P 500 on any given day, like today, we would say, oh, this isn't working. Let's do something else. But if we look at it from a 30,000 foot view over a longer period of time, we could actually see that it is working. And what happens, guys, is you are letting your emotions affect everything whenever there's one day where it doesn't work. And it's stopping you from seeing the bigger picture. So to become a 10K human being, you have to be willing to not let the anxiety, the fear, the negative emotions that are going to come up, the insecurity, dictate all of your actions in the day-to-day. And again, guys, this is normal. Like, this is what I went through. As soon as I would get a rejection, or I would get told no, or things weren't clicking, or a client would cancel. Like, I remember getting the first text from a client saying, hey, I would like to cancel your services. I took the whole day off. I was like in a state of I just went numb. I remember I slept the whole entire day and I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. That's letting my emotions get in the way and not seeing the bigger picture. In a perfect world, I would have said, okay, this is normal. We're going to have down days. Let me just keep sending messages and continue to show up, and let's reevaluate in 4 weeks and see where we're at. And in 4 weeks, we probably would have gotten an extra few clients, and that one client that dropped wouldn't have even mattered. Let's see. We're almost done on, actually, no, there's a lot. Wow. I have so much mindset stuff. We can keep going forever. If we don't get to everything today, the whole point is just to get you guys thinking about these things and moving in the right direction, so that when we release all the strategic stuff, you actually take action on it, which, like I said, is the hardest part about this whole journey. So with that in mind, let's keep going.
I have a question for you, Joel.
Yeah.
That 6-month contract, can we just do a 1 or 2 minute elaboration on that 6-month contract yourself? Because I've seen agencies get on calls with me. A month before, they were in a different industry. A month later, they're coming to me about a new niche. It drives me kind of crazy, to be honest, because I know that they didn't focus on one thing long enough, right? Or they come up with a new package that nobody's ever seen and their niche don't even want it, but they self-convince them into 5,000 lead magnets, right? Can you talk about that 6-month contract to yourself? How strict do you get to it? Like,
yeah, what we did, it was pretty funny. me and my business partner in the agency realized that we were all over the place. And every time we would get a new opportunity, it was so tempting to just say yes instead of learning the power of saying no and focusing. So what we did is we created a contract that stated that if we switched niches or took on any opportunities outside of our number one niche over the next 6 months, we would lose equity in the business. And we printed it. It was an actual contract. We signed it and we put it up on the wall. And if we ended up switching niches, I'm sure we wouldn't have lost the equity, but the psychological exercise of going through that and printing it and signing it, you're telling the world, hey, I'm committing to this. Even if there was no real consequence, I think it's pretty powerful to go through that mental exercise of being like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sign a contract with myself and go all in. So that's what we did. And we wrote something out and stating we're going to stick to this niche for the next 6 months. We're going to say no to any opportunities outside of the niche. And if we decide to take on something else, the person that made that decision loses their equity. They get kicked out of the business. Again, at the beginning, you got to it's like your brain is against you and you have to just play games with it. I'll give you another example. This is something we used to do all the time. We used to make the consequence of not taking action more painful and scarier than just taking action. So what we would do is we would tell ourselves, like, if we don't send 100 messages today, then I will pay you $1,000. Or if
it was like 1,500, right? Where you sat up all night following up with people.
I've done some crazy stuff. You can't over rely on that strategy if you actually commit to it, because you'll burn out your central nervous system. Because then you're like, I got to do this no matter what. It's like you go into a do or die mode and you can't sustain that forever. But the point is, if you've been saying, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And you still don't do it. And you still don't do it. And you still don't do it. It might be worth sending your friend $1,000 on Venmo and telling them, hey, don't give this back to me until I do it. Because now the $1,000, losing $1,000, especially at the beginning, is more painful than just sending the 100 messages. And then you send the 100 messages, you realize it's not as scary. And again, you took the first step. So it's much easier to send the next 200 messages and the next 1,000 messages. So you can definitely play these mind games with yourself to force yourself into more action. You could also do competitions, with your friends. You can also do accountability groups. I would pair, I at the very beginning, I found my business partner now, his name is Sergio. But at the very beginning, we would meet up once a week to hold ourselves accountable to doing the actions the following week. It's like, hey, by next week, we're both going to have LinkedIn prospecting set up. And then what would happen is we would meet every week and we couldn't disappoint each other. So we would be much more likely to actually follow through and do it. Things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I used to do affirmations in the morning and I would write it down. So those of you that may know me from a couple of years ago, I started off in the dental space. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a dental agency. I came from healthcare. Let me go do this. So I would, in my affirmations in the morning, I would write down, I'm gonna be the best marketer on the planet for dental practices. And I literally wrote that. My wife still has it. I have over 180 days of that straight every single day. The amount of power that does to your mind is crazy. If I went back in time, my content is around dental practices, focused every freaking day. Anything I did, even regular posts, anything you even talk about. I found myself, even when I went to family events and my cousins are asking me, hey, what are you up to? I tell them, hey, I grow dental practices. And I'm like, oh snap, I actually just said that. And it's ingrained in my mind.
That's pretty powerful. You're committing it to it in the world. Yeah. That's really interesting. whenever you get a chance to write something, you can write your goal. Like if you have a pen, write your goals. Like on my whiteboard back here, you guys can't see it. I have my goals. If I ever go to the beach, I write my goals in the sand. It's
Writing
weird.
has a lot of power in what it does.
Maybe it's like juju, but hey, I've hit my goals, so I'm not judging it if it works.
Let's go to the next slide. What do you got next?
Guys, there's so much mindset stuff I could touch on. Those are like the most important. And I want to wrap up with one last one. And then I want to give you guys the 10K to-do list to show you how simple this really is once you've mastered yourself, which is the hardest part to get to 10K. So the last thing I want to talk about is the rocket ship analogy. Elon Musk says that getting the rocket ship off the ground is exponentially harder than getting it out into the atmosphere. And then once it's in space, it goes by itself. It has momentum. So at the very beginning, you have to really commit and go all in and lean into action and do whatever it takes to get the rocket off the ground, and know that it's going to require more energy, more effort, more focus than any other stage in the business. And you have to really treat getting to 10K like building a rocket ship and getting it from 0 to 10 feet off the ground. That's your goal. Once it's off the ground, it's going to be easier to get it to 100 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet off the ground. And with that in mind, let's dive into the 10K to-do list. I want to show you guys how simple this is. Once you've mastered yourself as an entrepreneur, it really boils down to practicing the skills of sales and marketing and following this extremely simple to-do list. It's not complex. This is how we scaled a brand new agency to 50K in 60 days. It's just this. There's no secrets. There's no different ad that I'm hiding from you guys. It's just this to-do list. So here's how you get to 10K. I'm going to give you guys a to-do list that we're going to cover over the next few days. You pick a niche. You scrape a list of your niche. So you get all the emails and phone numbers. So for example, if I go to yellowpages.com, let me show you guys. And I were to look up chiropractor, I would want all the names and all the emails and phone numbers of every single chiropractor ever. That's the next step. After that, we want to create what I like to call an easy yes offer. So in other words, you want to create a proposition for the business that's easy to say yes to. You want to give them a proposal that's very easy to say, yes, let's do it. Once we've created an easy yes offer, we're going to set up one free and one paid prospecting channel to promote that offer. Then we're going to take them through a 2-step sales process. And then we're going to get them great results. Then we rinse and repeat. Whoops. That's how you get to 10K, guys. It's really, 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 really dumb. Everyone's going to want to overcomplicate it. You guys are not going to believe me. You're thinking there's some stuff missing. It's really this stupid simple. Again, the hard part is the character and the skills required to execute on this extremely simple plan. But you have to keep in mind, guys, we're not building, to go off of the Elon Musk, we're not actually building a rocket. We're building a marketing agency, which is someone pays you money, you do this marketing thing for them. It's a very easy business model. So it's not complex. What's complex is yourself and your skills. But once we've mastered that, all we have to do is steps 1 through 6. That's it. Then we rinse and repeat a few times and we're at 10K. And I know we're out of time, but over the next 9 days, we're going to execute on this to-do list together. And that's pretty much it for day 1. There's a lot more mindset stuff that I could go into, but to really boil it down, get out of your own way, take more action. Don't be afraid to fail or face rejection, because that's the only way you're going to get better. And execute on the to-do list. That's really it.
Hey, quick question, Joel. That to-do list, can we call it homework instead of to-do list? Because I want them to actually make those decisions by tomorrow.
We're gonna have to. I want to cover the how to pick a niche before we pick a
Okay,
niche.
got it, got it, got it. Okay.
Oh, we can make that tomorrow's homework. I'd say for tonight, guys, what I want you to do for homework is to create that contract with yourself, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna go all in, and I'm gonna take action for the next 6 months without switching, without questioning it, without changing things up." I want you to actually write that out. I want you to print it out and I want you to sign it. And I want to see it tomorrow on the Zoom. I want to see a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. You guys can type 3 sentences on a piece of paper, print it and sign it. You don't have to actually get it done by an attorney. Just put a few sentences on there saying you're going to commit to your business for the next 6 months without letting your brain get in your way. Sign it, bring it tomorrow. If you want to freaking write it out on a piece of paper, that way you don't even have to type and print it. Just write out a few sentences. And besides that, the only other piece of homework that I would give you guys is I want somewhere in your room, I want to see this somewhere in your room. You should be seeing this every day. Is it getting us closer to a sale? If yes, continue. If not, stop and ask yourself what will. That's it for homework.
Hey, remember, guys, this is a workshop, right? This is not a random challenge. This is not a random course. This is what I wanted for you guys to actually interactively taking part in building your businesses together. There's about 60, 70 of you in here. I think every single day we're going to get somewhere between 60 to 100. I promise you, those that stick on to the end will have a client before, or at least demos, flooding their calendars by end of December, worst case scenario, in my opinion. I know this for a fact because I've scaled agencies before, and this is the same formula that works. I promise you guys, tomorrow, before we get started, I'm going to ask everybody to hold up their contracts. I want to see it. I really do, because I do know the power that comes from you writing this down to yourself. All right. So tomorrow, don't forget to bring it. If you don't bring it, I'm going to ask you to just watch the replay. That's what I'm going to feel.
Contract, and just have somewhere in your room the reminder to focus on setting and closing appointments. That's the best thing that I could do for you guys. Again, the hardest part of my job as a coach is not to give you guys the scripts. It's to get you guys to take action on those scripts and believe in yourself to make it happen. Paulson, can we stay on for like 10 more minutes with everyone, or do you have to go?
So I have, so believe it or not, I had my time blocked from 2 p.m. to 3:30. So cool. We have an hour and a half, just so you know.
I do have to be home. I have to leave in like 100% because I have to go somewhere, but I want to hear some takeaways.
Yeah.
From people here in the Zoom.
Yeah. If you have questions around the mindset thing, right? Put that in the chat or unmute yourself. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions, guys. We'll do a hard cutoff in 15 minutes. How about that, Joel?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Hey, Joel. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. My name's Casey. I want to thank you so much for all the value. Hey, Paulson. Thanks, guys. So I want to say that this session has been phenomenal, because like how many times have I been like, I'm going to focus on the best website for like 3 weeks, but no clients. And I think for the first time in my life, my husband and I, we actually own our own agency together. This past month, we've been doing this camp. For the past month, we've literally been doing everything that you're talking about. And on Friday, we just closed our first client. Wow. And it was just like, thanks. Yeah, it was like confirmation as to everything you're saying works. It's like, we have not moved niches. We've been in the same niche for 2 months. We're in real estate. We got onto HighLevel. We followed the systems. We just like really understood that it's all about the processes and that we can't psych ourselves out of this. So I just, wanted to just say that I'm really grateful for your contribution, for what you've created. And I think that this is so powerful. Even if we're getting results, to come and tune in and plug ourselves in and just hear this, like our brain just is like, it's like confirmation again and again. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sharing. Can you actually talk a little bit about that? Because you said you've been focusing on setting and closing appointments for a few weeks. How did you deal with the fact that you didn't close a client those first few weeks? Like, how did you trust in the process long enough to actually get your first client?
Yeah, totally. I think what you said in the beginning about if you've been in a client-facing role before, it does make things a little bit easier, so to speak, because you've dealt with people, you've dealt with rejections. And I've been in like not direct sales, but communicating with people for a long time. So I can kind of relate and understand. So for us, like we're big believers in the 1% rule. So 1% a day, no matter what, whether it's we connected with one person, we got to know Cam's first like sales call, the guy like hung up on him. Like it's just like one of those things that but the thing is we took the positive from that. And we're like, well, you actually got on the phone with somebody, you had a conversation, you told them the price, you got that far, and then they hung up. Oh well, you know, we'll deal with it. And we obviously were sad and all that stuff and the emotions, but it's like we just kept going. And then it was like, so I have my my bullet journal that I use, and every day what I do is I'll like put the day, and then I'll put my calls for the day and the things I need to do, like the top 3 things, and I'll just like cross them out. And that like really helps my brain feel like I'm actually producing like even the tiniest results. Even though I haven't been closing clients, it's okay. I'm getting better. And I love that you said, you know, is it getting us closer to a sale or not? Because for many years we, you know, ran businesses and did all that stuff, but it didn't actually like pan out, which is why we're here now. The other night, it's funny, we were just before bed, we were like looking back at the last 4 years we've been together, and we're like, how many businesses have we started? How many ideas have we come up with? And we were like, oh, that and that and that. It was like 17 in total. And now it's like,
wow.
It's literally like the e-commerce store or this. And it's just like one of those things, like we're at this point in our lives where we've been through that stuff, and it's like, let's just focus and go all in. Like what's the worst that could happen if we commit to this for 6 months or a year?
And it really should be like 3 years.
Exactly. So like, you know, it's just having faith and focusing and getting that we're getting better every day.
I love it. That's really all it is. And then the next client is going to be easier to get, and the next client, and then now you have social proof. And then now you've got referrals. You know how I talk about this all the time? You know how they say you need money to make money, which is so true. Like if you have $10 million and you put it even into a whole life insurance policy that grows at 5% guaranteed, you're making what, $500,000 a year guaranteed? Like that's insane. You need money to make money. It's the same thing with clients. You need clients to get clients.
It's a domino effect.
Yeah, if you have 50 clients, you have social proof, and now you do a referral program giveaway, and you do a video testimonial giveaway. Now you've got enough video creatives to run as ads to get more clients for the next year. Like it's easier. It gets easier and easier and easier. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really, really helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Something I really want to touch on real quick. I think it's really important, and I skipped over it because we're running out of time, but I was just inspired to share this. When I say set and close appointments, guys, I absolutely do not mean don't care for your clients. It's not one or the other. You can have both. The problem is most of you guys are so focused on one end of the spectrum and you forget to take care of yourself first. And I like to talk about the analogy of and I think we talked about it last time we spoke, Paulson, but the analogy of being on an airplane, they ask you to put the mask on yourself first before you put it on even your child. And the problem is you guys are putting the mask on your clients and you're running out of oxygen. And if you really cared about the health and the well-being of your clients, you would put the mask on yourself first. And the problem is, let's say that here's a spectrum and you guys this is really focusing on clients. This is really focusing on you. I just want you to meet in the middle, but you guys are here. And I have to go to this extreme to meet you in the middle. And one more thing. I really want to talk about this because once you get your first client, what tends to happen is everyone starts to focus all their energy into that one client, thinking that if they just get them the best results in the world, that's going to solve their business. But you have to keep doing what worked to get you to that one client, which was focusing on setting and closing appointments. And I call this the one client illusion, where instead of asking yourself, how do I get to 10 clients? You start asking yourself, how do I get my one client the best results in the world? The problem is that if you actually want to get the best results possible, you actually need volume. You need a lot of clients, because that's going to give you a few things: resources. It's going to give you finances. It's going to give you the ability to hire people so that you have your time back to focus on the product. It's going to give you actual data and feedback. And now you're actually going to be able to build the best product in the world. So for example, if HighLevel, the software, only had one user, they couldn't build the best software because their data would be so limited. They would not know what people actually want, what they don't want. They would be building one product for one person, not for agency owners and marketers as a whole. So I just wanted to touch on that, guys. When I say set and close appointments, all I'm really asking you is to meet me in the middle, but you guys need to go to an extreme to make that happen, or most of you guys do. And then when you get the one client, don't start thinking that you need to give them the whole world and that's what's going to get you to 10 clients. You got to keep the eye on the prize and know that in the long run, getting more clients is going to allow you to get them better results. I'll give you, sorry, Paulson, I'm just, you got excited.
You good, bro. There's an illusion out there that the best service and the best product is going to bring the next client. That's an illusion in the marketing world. No agency today have kept their first client. Nobody. Not a single agency today have kept their first client. If you've been in the game at least for 2 years.
Except George. George is the outlier.
Except for George.
Come
on,
George. We're not all like you, brother.
Except for George. Nobody has
just lucky.
Nobody's kept their first client. But I promise you, I've spent the most amount of time with my first couple of clients trying to figure everything out for them, build their entire business. I wouldn't just do marketing. I would literally build out their entire business, and they still cancel.
Yeah, you know, it's fascinating because having more clients is the same. Like if you have clients, it's easier to get more clients. Same thing with results. If you have more clients, it's easier to get your clients results because you can see what's working for the best people. You can see the difference between the best people and the worst people. You can test things much more quickly. It really gives you a lot more resources to create the best possible product or service. But most of you guys don't ever escape that initial point of being able to get enough volume to get them the best results, which is kind of extremely counterintuitive because all you're trying to do is get them the best results. So just get more clients, guys. I promise everything will work out. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Who else had a takeaway they want to share?
Well, I can just say that I'm also very appreciative, like Casey, to piggyback off that. And I really like the point about sending someone money to hold yourself accountable. But on top of that, I had a question, which would be, other than that, do you have any recommendations like an accountability buddy or any other types of habits that you can kind of, what propels you forward when you don't feel like, you know, like one saying is F motivation, it's all about discipline, right? So what builds those disciplines?
That's a good, really good question. I like to focus on the big three first: sleep, food, and exercise. Like if you're on 3 hours of sleep, I don't care how motivated you are, you're not going to get good work done, you know? And anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to you, or maybe you're talking to David Goggins, but that guy is genetically gifted, you know,
even he sleeps,
you know, it's like, well, you have to learn the difference between effective versus optimal. What's effective for one person doesn't mean it's optimal for most. Like, for example, I need at least 8 hours of sleep. I have never had a good productive day on less than 8 hours of sleep. And
You,
so
you guys still do the push-up contest in your agency in the Slack channels? Like, what was that? Like,
we do it every once in a while. Right now they're doing the sit-up challenge. I'll
Got
show
it.
you guys.
we did something similar. Everybody in the team has to post that they did something physical that day, like jumping jacks, push-ups, 50 push-up challenge. It just keeps everybody
This
flowing.
guy's doing sit-ups. But it just, I would say, besides the big three, George, in terms of motivation and getting stuff done, I'll give you two really good ones. And then I'm going to give you a final takeaway. Get a hobby. That's one really good one. Because what happens is all of us like go all in on the business and we forget about life, and then we'd burn out. I'm not telling you to go get a hobby where you're away for 20 hours a week. I'm saying even just 1 hour a week, go do something that you like doing that's not business. And doing YouTube videos is not a hobby. And going to the gym is also not a hobby. Everyone's like, oh, I go to the gym, that's my hobby. I'm like, no, that's just, you can't count that as your hobby.
And reading doesn't count either. That's just content absorption.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I would also say another really good piece of advice. Entrepreneurship is a lonely road. If you want to stay consistent and build dedication, create support systems. Either build, like for example, something that we do in the agency and in my consulting business every day is we practice sales every single day. I guarantee 90% or more of you guys are not practicing. And imagine if you had a group of 5 people, even better if it was in your niche. You guys are meeting every single day. You're going to hold yourselves accountable. You're going to put yourself in a state of wanting to grow together, wanting to support each other, wanting to push each other. I'd say that's the biggest thing. Like whenever I'm around other entrepreneurs, like even me and Paulson were talking about last night, like I got pretty fired up. So just surrounding yourself with other people. And now here's my takeaway for you. Again, this is not what most coaches would tell you, but I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You got to find what works for you. I'm not here to give you the magic formula. Like I can say, hey, here's some ideas to think about, but ultimately everyone's form of self-care and everyone's form of building good habits and motivating themselves is dependent on them. And the best thing that I could tell you is try a few things and start to figure out what works for you.
100%, guys. Joel, if you gotta jump off, go ahead and jump off if you need to. I can finish up. I'm gonna stay on until 3:30, guys, which is 10 minutes away.
No, we could do the last 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
No problem.
Cool. Any questions on specifically the mindset component today? Right. I want us to stay in context to today's session. Right. Any questions? Joel, go ahead.
Yes.
You had something. Oh, go ahead. Who is that?
Hi, my name is Babak. So hi, Joel. Hi, Paulson.
Hey,
How's it
How are you
going?
guys doing?
You sound so
Good, thank you.
European. Are you in a different time zone?
Well, I'm actually in the French part of Montreal, Canada.
Oh,
So
man.
French part of
You're
Canada.
you're Eastern Standard Time. You're close by.
Yeah, that's right. I have one quick question, Joel. So one of my friends is actually in a 7-figure agency. He joined it a couple months ago, and it was awesome seeing him go from 2K per month to 20K per month, just after 2 to 3 months. And one thing he mentioned to me is that he learned that mindset is everything, especially when it comes to, investing in yourself and investing in the business. So one question I just wanted to ask is, I see a lot of people, they talk about, you got to have an abundance when it comes to money, and you got to not care about, getting money, and you got to care about other things, right? If you actually want to get money. So I just want to know what's your thoughts on that. What's the right, abundance wealth mindset that these guys are talking about?
That's a fantastic question. In terms of abundance, you mean like not focusing on making money and that it'll come to you? Was that what you meant?
Well, kind of in the sense that, I see a lot of people say that, everything that you make, you should just think that money comes to you easily, And then I have other people that say, it's like you got to just save and invest it all and not spend it on anything and just put it in yourself.
Again, probably not what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. You got to find what works for you. For example, with me, when I quit my 9 to 5, I had a lot of money saved up. That's just what I needed to feel secure. On the flip side, my business partner had nothing. And that created really good urgency for him to take action. And he thrives in that environment. You have to figure out what works for you. You have to figure out in terms of wealth and how you want to protect it, how you want to invest it. As long as you're following solid principles across the board, you have to figure out what's aligned with who you are and how you think and how you approach things. For example, if you're $100,000 in debt, I'm going to give you different advice versus if you're already 30K saved up in the bank and you're 18 years old. If you have kids and a family and a mortgage to pay, very different advice versus someone that's in college and they don't have anything to lose. So I would say with that in mind, just to touch on the whole, like, oh, if you don't have to think about money. I think at the very beginning, especially if you have a bad relationship with money, which I think a lot of us do. Like, for example, there's other entrepreneurs that say, oh, just build a good product, money will come. I think in the very first business, we have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves why we're starting it. Most of us don't start marketing agencies because we're passionate about marketing. How many of you guys started the marketing agency because you love marketing, or maybe you love your niche, like plumbers or roofers? How many of you guys? Okay,
I hated my job at the time so bad. That's why I quit and came home and started an agency.
Yeah, like I actually grew to love chiropractors, but like I didn't really know much about the niche. Like, it's not like I was passionate about it. And the goal of the business was to make money and fuel my other dreams. And that's okay too. You know, like there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just about understanding why you're doing it and being honest with yourself about it and working from a place of truth.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that makes a lot of sense.
I know I'm kind of just ranting, but those are just random thoughts. Like, I also find it funny that all the people that say don't focus on making money focused on making money at first. Like, maybe the better answer is that each business has its time and place, right? And right now, maybe what you just need is a business that produces money. And that's okay too. There's no judgment there. As long as you care for your clients and deliver a good result and provide and, you know, deliver on your promises, obviously.
Here's another thing I want to add on to it before I forget, Joel, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, please.
Babak, your relationship with money will show when you have to close clients. When you get there, that closing, your relationship with money will show whether you can close a client or not, right? So it's important that you get your mindset right early on in day one. So when you get to set appointments and closing appointments, when you get to that closing appointments phase, right there, your relationship with money will show again.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I do actually really believe in mindset. I used to think it was like a lot of fluff. I know you talked about that at the very beginning, but then I started to realize all the people making money have good mindsets. Because you really have to level up as a human being. Like, you have to become a good leader. You have to become someone that can solve problems every single day. You have to become someone that can take everything that you do and transfer it to other people and then get them to believe in themselves. There's just so much that needs to happen in who you are as a human being to level up. And if you don't do it, it's going to be really, really, really hard to scale. Like, for example, Elon Musk, this guy is kind of crazy, but his mindset, he believes in something that doesn't exist yet in reality, so much so to the point that he gets other people to believe in it, to the point where those people are then leading other people, and it starts to happen with or without him.
He gets every bank in the planet to believe in his theories as well on top of that. And organizations and resources and governments. I mean, imagine the mindset if you've got a convince the US government on your idea.
You have like your mindset has to be, you have to be so committed to your vision for the world and the possibility of failure and the possibility, or actually the certainty of failure along the way and the certainty of rejection. And you have to have the audacity to go out and solve such a big problem that most of us will never have the audacity to actually go out and try to solve. And it's whether he likes it or not, it's all mindset. Now, maybe he was born with it. Maybe his life circumstances helped him level up and deal with the world. Maybe it's genetics. But I will say this, if your mindset is not there, you can definitely work on it. Just like going to the gym. Some people are born with amazing genetics and they just show up to the gym once and they're muscular. My business partner, Sergio, I guarantee you he's not on drugs and he looks like he is. Like it's just he's cousins with a Hall of Famer baseball player, top 5 in the whole world in history. Of course he looks jacked. Doesn't mean that that's going to be the same thing for you, and you might need to go to the gym and work on it. Same with mindset. Elon Musk might wake up every single day and have a mindset to change the world. If we don't, that's okay. That just means that we're going to have to work at it. So,
hey, David, I think, so David sent me a private message. He goes, Paulson, can you elaborate on how your relationship with money will show up when closing a client examples? So David, what I'm saying is, if you're going to convince a client to invest $2,000 a month to you, and you've never ever invested into a program or invested into yourself at $2,000 a month, your mind will kick in and start convincing you that you cannot deliver for them because you've never been there before, right? And that's what I mean by that. Joel, can you elaborate on getting those, thoughts out of the way, like when it comes to fulfillment and delivering and all of that, especially when you're closing a client?
Yeah, if you're just starting out and you've never closed a client in your life, I recommend having some support systems in place to give you that confidence. So, for example, I know we're talking a lot about Elon Musk. When he built his first rocket, it wasn't just him. He had a team of engineers that he could trust and rely on to give him the confidence to launch. Same thing with your ability to get fulfillment. Even if you're not good, maybe you have a friend that can help you out that's really good the moment that you get the client, or maybe you have someone here in this group that can help you out, or maybe you can hire a white label agency that can get those results for you so that you have the support system in place to still be able to go out and sell. I would never recommend anyone to just sell and then be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I would have some sort of support system in place so that when the moment comes, you can deliver on the promise. That's what I would recommend.
David, does that help answer the question? I don't know where you are. There's so many people.
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, awesome, buddy.
Guys, I do have to go, but
any final words, Joel? Any final words before you jump off?
Yes, get the contract, guys. Write somewhere in your room the question, am I getting closer to a sale? If yes, continue. If not, ask yourself what will. Have that somewhere ready to go. And I will make one last recommendation. All professional athletes in the world do one thing. They practice a lot. Most entrepreneurs don't do that thing. If you want to get better at sales, if you want to get better at marketing, if you want to get better at anything in life, you have to practice. Most of you guys do not have an environment to practice in. So what I would recommend for homework is also find 2 or 3 people to set up a practice team with, where you can do sales practice. You could practice whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, sales is the consistent one that you keep doing forever, but I would assemble a practice team so that you can show up every day and reevaluate what's working, what's not working, and have that support system in place to be able to help one another out. So that's my takeaway for homework: the contract, the question, practice team.
All right, guys, we're going to cut it off. We're going to have the replay in the YouTube channel. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is Central for us, 2 p.m. Central for us, okay? Hopefully today was absolutely fantastic. I'm excited for it. This mindset thing is really the foundation of what we're going to build over the next 9 days. So it does matter quite a bit. I appreciate all of you sticking out all the way through the end of this whole thing. And I'll post a replay. Thanks, Joel. I'll be in touch with you, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye-bye.